everyone. Welcome to CT Live today. I'm Claire Drobot. I'm the Associate Artistic Director here at City Theater.
I'm Mark Masterson, Artistic Director. It's great to not see everyone, but to have you with us.
Yes, welcome to our virtual weekly show. So Mark, we've had a great week so far. We've had a chance to share an In Their Own Voices video from Molly Rice. So that's the culmination of this partnership with the Dramatists Guild Pittsburgh chapter. So it's been really wonderful to get to share little snippets and windows into playwrights sharing their work out loud. So big thank you to TJ Parker Young and Maura Harris, who are our regional Dramatists Guild reps who helped to make that possible.
I was just thinking, Claire, that, of course the theater is closed and we're not producing on our stages, but I don't know about you. I've never been busier. There's so much work going on, and the artists are creating and writers are writing and we're producing and we're planning for the future. It's a very busy time. And it's been inspiring to see so much great work continue under these impossible circumstances in this tumultuous time.
It is. I'm just really inspired by the ingenuity of artists and also the way in which our community has really drawn together. Not just in terms of creating art, but also the way in which the American theater is jumping into much needed investigation of anti-racism work and how that ties to a larger movement in the country as a whole. So it's just been a really exciting and hopeful time. That's where I'm going on Friday today.
I know, and every day, you run from despair to anger to hope and all the emotions in between. But I find inspiration in our staff and in the artists who we work with. The staff has just been amazing, and going out to rallies and protests and making signs and making statements and circulating petitions and all of the good work that needs to be done. And there's so much work to do. To see that happening, to feel the energy of the artists who we're working with as they confront this moment, and for us to find ways to support that in any way we can. There's something positive there, and clearly there's a lot of work to do. We're not even anywhere close to where we want to be, but the work is happening, and so there's some momentum, and we're gonna get on board.
Absolutely. And today's show is all about community. So we're able to both introduce some of our staff community and then also we'll have special guests from a number of partner organizations. But speaking of staff community, we want to invite on Montez Freeland to join us. And a chance, many of you may have seen him around Pittsburgh, both on stage at City. He was in our production of Wild with Happy. He directed the Santaland Diaries. I could go on and on. He's a star of stage and screen in Pittsburgh, but welcome, Montez.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
And so you're now also, officially a member of City Theater as our associate producer. But I'm wondering, maybe can you just talk a little bit for audience members who are watching, who might not know you but should, a little bit about your background and what brought you to working at City.
Sure. I do a lot of stuff by design so that I can stay busy. So I'm an actor, I'm a director, I'm a playwright, I'm a producer, I'm a teaching artist, and I'm also an arts activist. So I like to do all of that stuff to keep me near the theater. And I am from Baltimore, and I came to Pittsburgh about 13 years ago for school, went to Point Park University and graduated. And my first paid gig out of school was at City Theater in the Young Playwrights Festival 11 years ago. And so from there, I've worked with City in a myriad of different ways, from the box office to directing to writing and producing. And I've worked with different companies around the city, with Quantum Theater as the education director for about 5 years and as the artistic associate for Pittsburgh Playwrights. I keep getting those mixed up. But I'm happy to be here and happy to serve with my City family.
And you've become, through all of these individual efforts and the triple or quadruple threat that you are, you are a leader also, Montez. I mean, you inspire people, and you're out in the community. People know you, they respect you, they want to work with you, and I just couldn't be more thrilled to have you officially part of the full-time family at City Theater, and I really look forward to the work that we can do together.
Same here. I'm ready. I'm energized. Even during these crazy times, I'm like weirdly energized to keep pushing through, and that's been a testament to you and Claire's wonderful support for not only me, but for all the artists.
Absolutely, and you're seeing the love on Facebook. We have at least one comment that you have the most infectious smile. So,
that's nice.
to know that there's we're just really thrilled that you're part of the team. And I'm wondering maybe if you can talk a little bit about kind of some of the work you've been doing so far, and kind of things that you'll be championing in the associate producer role.
Sure. I've been working with a lot of the different staff members to kind of see, how City is run and how I can fit in to those different departments. Working with Katie Trupiano, who's also a college friend who heads the education department, has been wonderful as we're reading scripts for the Young Playwrights Festival and deciding how we are going to best present that. We're in a safe way and in a productive way, and give back to nurturing young writers, which is very important to me. Also reading scripts and working with you and Mark with season programming during this crazy time. And my goal is to really be a liaison between the artistic community, which I am so enamored with and have gone through, and to be that liaison between them and City Theater, and to just make sure that all the communication is happening, and to make sure that programming is reflecting the communities that we live in.
Well, we're excited, and I think that actually plays really well into all of the amazing guests that we have for the show today. And so, actually working with Rebecca Diaz, who's the community engagement officer at City, one of the things that means a great deal to the organization is community. It's a core tenet of ours, and so it's first we want to wish everyone a happy Pride, and then also we want to highlight some of the work that's going on within the Pittsburgh community. So we'd love to invite on Dena Stanley. She's the founder of TransYOUniting, and she's also on the board of directors for the Delta Foundation of Pittsburgh. So a warm welcome to Dena. And also joining us is Marty Healey, president of the board of directors of Persad Center and vice president of the Delta Foundation and Pittsburgh Pride Chair 2020. So a warm welcome, Dena and Marty.
Dena, Marty, welcome. And I'm going to sign off to make a little more room on the screen, but I'm going to watch, okay? So thank you for joining us so much.
Thanks, Mark.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Thank you so much for joining us. On the subject of Pride, Dena, would you mind taking a little second to kind of let our audience know how Pride started, why we're celebrating in the month of June specifically?
Absolutely. Okay, so the Stolen Rats happened in New York City in June of 1979, following the riots with the police. The groups led by Marsha P., other drag queens and gay men, and just a lot of the LGBT community, they were really fighting for their rights, their civil rights and LGBT rights. Around that time, it was a heavy time, such as today, when we were fighting for our rights as African Americans. And, then we start fighting for the rights of, the LGBT community, because folks were sick and tired of being sick and tired. You know what I mean? So a lot of that is why, folks start standing up and fighting. But it began in a little bar in New York City, like I said, when someone threw a brick at a police officer. The police officers came in and they were trying to arrest folks, and everyone were just fed up, like they are today. They were fed up, and they said enough is enough. And for a week straight, they start marching. And that kind of started, what we see today as the month of June, we celebrate Pride.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. And then so taking us into 2020, can you talk a little bit about your work with Delta Foundation and what the organization does in Pittsburgh?
Sure. So the Delta Foundation is a nonprofit organization for the LGBT community. And we do Pride. We are an event planning organization, but we also do advocacy work throughout Western PA. So folks can, a lot of folks call. We do trainings for different organizations. We just all around resources for folks throughout the community and of Western Pennsylvania. So it's an amazing organization, and we're building it. We are starting fresh, and we're building. It's going to be an amazing year this year. We're working on, as we know, there's a pandemic going on, so we're working on Pride. Just like every other state and country.
Well, that lends me to ask Marty, what are, if maybe you could talk about the importance of still having Pride, and if there are any plans for this Pride in 2020 during this pandemic. I call it a damn demic. But.
Okay.
I completely, didn't expect that question, right? Because we know that we all would like to know and figure out. And I have to say that our partners at the state level and the city level, and there are partners in moving this forward. Sorry, there are partners in moving this forward, and they've been great. It's interesting to watch because, you tend to put politicians and the city and the state and the government up on, emotionally, we put them on a pedestal a bit, but they're in the same exact boat we are. They have no clue of how to navigate this forward when it started. Now they are trying to gather that information and figure it out. And at this point, we certainly are looking to do it in the fall. We think as long as it's safe, as long as the city resources can work and the state's resources can work, we'll figure something out to try to do it. Would love to do something in September. Weather's still nice. People could be excited about still having something in the summer. I don't necessarily, and as Dena would probably tell you from board discussions, we don't know exactly what it looks like. Does it look the same? I'm not sure. But certainly Chris Bryan, who is our one employee, and I are working really hard to figure out what's next with it. So stay tuned. We are planning to do something in September. Fingers crossed. Anything else that can try to bring the good energy back to our not just our city, but our world, right?
Right.
So if we can do it, we're going to do it, and we're poised to do it. Our vendors want to do it. Our sponsors want to do it. The board wants to do it. The community members, we are hearing exciting stuff about it. Sorry, I blather on about it because
no. I mean, I think your point of community is actually so deeply felt. And, one of the things that we wanted to ask you is that you're involved with both Delta Foundation and Persad Center. So can you just share with us how the LGBTQ plus organizations are working together in this moment?
Well, I think we all talk. I think for many years, the organizations didn't talk, and it was for one reason or another. And I think one of the things, Dena is shaking her head because Dena gets it. I know Richard gets it. Over time, things happen, funding changes, and we're all trying to communicate, I think, a little bit more. We just did a statement that having to do with Black Lives Matter and what we've all been going through in this country over the past almost 2 weeks, and tragedy of it, and speaking about it when you have boards that are predominantly white, that are perceived sometimes to be behind the times or not get it. A couple of the nonprofits got together to talk about, well, how do we want to speak about this? Help us speak, help us have the conversation. And I think that's what I've learned in my work with Dena, is to ask the question. And coming from me as a gay, white, cis male, I sometimes don't understand or don't know, but I think that when Dena and others are patient with me to help me get through it, I don't quite know, I haven't walked in anyone else's shoes, but I have maybe a little bit of understanding and know enough to say, hey, let's get together as a collaborative and work to create not just these statements, but roll forward and having conversations about funding, having conversations about how we deal with the health and mental health of our community. And that's where Persad comes in. the mental health of our community has been important to Persad for almost, I think, just over 48 years. It's going to be 48 years in the next month or so. That's amazing. We're the second oldest social services mental health agency in the country. And that brings the whole subject, even working together more to think about funding and thinking about when you look at other cities and how they've been able to use the funding resources that have been out there, especially pharmacy funding that's been out there over the past 5 to 10 years. It's changed how they've been able to do it. In this city, we've not been able to do it the right way. So part of me being on both boards is I really want to try to find the way to do it. And we're working with allies for health and well-being on a regular basis at Persad. Delta's supporting the marketing efforts because, Delta really has a great grasp of the LGBT community, some of the LGBT community, maybe I should say, in how to market and communicate correctly. So we're trying to figure that out. I think there's a lot of work to do. We regularly have conversations. Even the Ulane Foundation and the work they're doing in Central Outreach Wellness, Stacey Lane and I talk all the time to try to navigate forward. We've got some good people in the city trying to move things forward. And it's, I believe, and I think most of us who are involved would agree, as with what the community wants to agree with, is how do we come together and really move things forward so that our community is healthier, safer, and feel more engaged to be who they are and who they want to be. That's the hard part. And this is my, blather. I'll just say that up front. But the hardest part when we talk about this, and what impassions me, I know Dena's laughing at me because she's heard me say this a zillion times, but I think the passion is here in Pittsburgh and the issues we have in the city, but just outside the county lines are places where a kid may not feel comfortable doing what they want to do or a parent needs the support mechanism for that child to live the way they want to. Or heck, the parent's 60 years old and saying, maybe I've hidden my feelings for all these years and I need to come out of the closet. We as a community, I think it's important for us to reach out and start to bring those folks in and make them feel as safe as maybe some of us do, and also reach inside of our community to reach out to our folks who don't feel safe. And that's, I think, what the last 2 weeks has meant. And it's not as sure I could talk about the outlying counties, but right here, a great deal of our community doesn't feel safe, and I don't. And I have to figure out how to walk that walk as an individual.
And thinking on that duality between the two, Dena, would you be able to speak to the idea that we have these two movements that are happening at the same time with gay rights and also with Black Lives Matter?
Exactly. So, as I stated before, I am a trans woman, but I'm Black first. You know what I mean? So these intersectionalities all fit into this one little box. You know what I mean? You have an LGBT person, they're going to be discriminated against. But if you're still a white person and a white male, you're going to have more chances no matter if you're in the LGBT community or not. But when you come to, when it comes to the Black community, we face, discrimination across the board. And when you go down into those intersectionalities, it gets even worse. When you get down to the trans women of color, that's the bottom of the totem pole. You know what I mean? So it's like we have this president right now, 45, that is spewing all of this rhetoric and this hate, and people, I guess the oomph to come out with their hate and bigotry and racism. Something like that. So, with that, he is basically bringing the country together. So in a way, it was good for him to be in there because he's bringing the country together and he's letting people who are racist come out of the closet and say, yeah, I'm here and I'm loud. And we're going to shut that down. And that's why we as a community, no matter if you're Black or if you're gay or if you're straight or whatever the case may be, we have to start sticking together. And another thing is you need to start voting. Your vote is your voice. You have to get out here and you have to vote, because the only way we're going to make any type of changes if you get to these polls and you get these folks out that don't mean us well at all whatsoever, just like that councilman in Scotts Township.
Yes, I agree. But I also want to ask you if you could tell us a little bit, and we're going to be close to wrapping up soon, but if you could tell us a little bit about your company that you started, TransYOUniting.
Right. So about 5 years ago, I moved back to Pittsburgh. I started getting into advocacy work. I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and I felt like, me being a trans woman, I'm a little bit older. I'm from this city. There was no resources here at all for me when I was growing up. And I did my transition. So for me to really get into this work, I wanted to take it back home and help the girls that I know needed it the most. When I moved back to Pittsburgh, I have my own business. I'm an entrepreneur, Mad D Sweets. So I was the first African-American open trans woman to have a business here. And now we have a few trans women, and I'm proud to say that. For me, that was the goal, to get trans women into a place where they're comfortable and it's not just about sex work. They can get it out into the real world and know that, we can make it. Here's a person in the community that I grew up with or that I know, personally, and she's making it and I can make it too. So that was the goal, and I am executing that very well.
Just a huge thank you to both of you. We have a comment from Facebook just saying that one of our listeners has been thinking about the intersectionality of I keep saying a moment, but really it's a movement that's happening, a movement for change in this country. And so just a big thank you, to both of you. For our viewers who are watching, what are ways to get involved with Pride, involved with TransYOUniting, and Persad Center. I think that call to action that both of you have spoken about is so important. So for everyone listening, how do they get involved? How do they help take the next steps?
Definitely, you can go to either one of our websites, TransYOUniting, pgh.org, or you can go to pridepittsburgh.org, and you can either donate and you can, sign up to be a volunteer, or just see what's going on in the community. If you're a person that you're an ally, you want to, know more things about what's going on in the community, get more involved, you can either go to one of those sites and just come to some type of event that we're having soon, or, like this, figure out what Zooms are going on and having conversations this month, because a lot of folks will be having a lot of conversations, so you can start educating and you can educate other folks, because it starts with you.
Yeah. And Persad, you can go to our website, our Facebook page. By the way, we're launching a new website within the next month or so. So watch for that, but you can go to persadcenter.org or look for us on Facebook and donate, which we're in an annual campaign right now. So certainly would love your support. The work that we do is expensive and we've been around for a long time. So we're trying to build upon that this year. So wherever you can help, that would be great. Also to volunteer and to just know what we're doing. We're trying to send out, I try to get a newsletter or email out to our donors and stakeholders in the region quarterly. So we'll fill you in on what's going on there too. So thanks for having us.
Thank you for
Thank you both so much, and we're excited that this is just the start of collaborations to come. So thank you both so much for joining us today.
All right, have a great day, everyone. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. So now we always like to close out on the show with a segment we call Something Good. And so I'm actually going to turn the reins over to Montez to invite on our two special guests for Something Good. So take it away.
Ooh, a little nervous, but today's Something Good are actually two artists in the city who I'm sure you have seen around at one place or another, and probably in the lobby of City Theater at some point, but they are Richard Parsakian and Tomé Cousin. So if you would join me and say hello to everyone, that'd be great. Hi, Richard. Hi, Tomé.
Hey,
how are you? Now I'm going to give them a little background on the both of you. Richard, you are the owner of the vintage clothing store Eon's Fashion Antique in Shadyside, and it's about 33 years old, kind of like me. And I really told that to everyone. And so, and in 2016, you were named one of the top 25 vintage stores in the nation. And you're also a costume designer, which is where we met, and a costume consultant for many theater and film companies. So thank you. And Tomé, you are a veteran of Broadway and the stage as a dancer, choreographer, actor, singer, director, writer. All of it. And you've worked with the likes of Susan Stroman and George C. Wolfe and alum of Point Park as well. And now you are a faculty member at Carnegie Mellon University, and we are Baltimore boys.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say hello and thank you for coming on. And I want to start with Richard. Richard, you are the king of making a statement. Say it a good way. And you did that with your larger than life pride flag. How did that come about?
Well, I've been involved with Pride for about 40 years, mostly when the GLCC was a big part of it. And in 1996, when we started having the march come through Shadyside past my store, I got all of the merchants together on Ellsworth Avenue to chip in money. And I bought fabric from Joanne Fabric. And my good friend, artist Bill Godfrey, fabricated the flag in his studio in New Kensington, Tarentum. And so now we have this 60-foot by 30-foot flag. And originally it was meant to surprise the marchers. We suspended it with poles over the intersections of Ellsworth and College and Ellsworth in Maryland. And with the drag queens on top of trucks, it was cutting off their head. We couldn't suspend it high enough. But friends of mine were there, and I actually had a really good trans friend who helped. She was much stronger than me, able to pull the flag up. So it just started from there, and we marched with the flag for over 20 years, and most of all the parades. And it really came from us. We didn't buy the flag. We created it within our own artistic community in Pittsburgh.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Tomé, you also, you know how to break some barriers as well. And could you tell audiences about your book, The Franklin Project, and mainly like, what was the reason for you writing it?
Well, my entire life is, I consider myself to be like an artistic political weapon, like the meeting of like Black culture and gay culture. And I've had all this privilege to be able to have these conversations with people, and they're not intimidated by me, but I can turn it on when I need to. So I decided to like use my privilege, if you will, to have these conversations about theatrical diversity. And it was really important to me to give a thorough history, to have it in a book form, like all the articles, all the interviews of people and how they want to express themselves, whether they be Black, whether they be any race, if they be any sexuality, any disability, anything that has diversity involved in it. And I just felt there was a need to have that in a place where young people could go for a resource, as opposed to doing all the little searching, just there's one place to do it. So that was really the motivation. And the title of it came from a certain generation when I was still in New York working as a dancer and a performer. Instead, as opposed to saying like the token, we didn't really like that word. So we decided to use it, to turn it and flip it on a name of pride. So we named it Franklin. So you're the Franklin, the one kid in the Charlie Brown and the Peanuts group. So we, say how many Franklins are they looking for? Or the Franklin, it was like a sense of pride. And that's the title of the book. It became The Franklin Project. Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so hopefully our watchers or listeners will go out and buy it.
Yeah.
And get it for sure.
I'm actually working on the follow-up right now because of all the things that happened. It was printed in 2016, and I wanted to take a break in between to see the results of it. And so now we have this current situation, and everybody is coming in. Here we come. All this information is pouring into me, to be in the new edition.
Right.
Yeah.
Switching gears just a little bit, I want to talk about you two as friends. How long have you been friends? When did you meet?
42 years. We met. Well, I have my version. I don't know what Richard has his version, but
I was hoping Tomé would have the good version, because my memory is not the best memory. My memory is through events and costumes and theater and all that kind of thing. So
yeah. Well, there used to be a club on the north side called 2001, a discotheque, and every Saturday night it was a gay night. It was called Chez La Femme. And it was like, you didn't show up until 12. I mean, you showed up, it opened at 12 and it went until whatever time in the morning. So here I am, a college, first year in college, 17, underage, got in this club every Saturday night. And there's this little crew of people, you know, we're all having a great time dancing on the floor and everything. And there's this gentleman in the corner who had fabulous drag. That's all we remember about it, just fabulous, fabulous drag. And it was just a really inviting persona, you know, kind of thing. And I just one day asked him to dance and we got to be friends. And then everyone at that time in the 70s was in this like 40s kind of drag, you know, like the Pointer Sisters and what's the store, Richard? What's the name of the store?
Which store?
You were working at that time.
Oh, the Vamp. The Vamp.
Yeah. So I went in, and that's how we actually met. You know, and I started doing choreography, and he became like a patron and helping out, and there we have it.
The Physical Theater Project was the big part of it.
Yeah, I had a dance company here called the Physical Theater Project that Mark actually helped me form. He was very instrumental. Mark Masterson was very instrumental in helping that come into existence. And Richard was one of the main people, you know, with that. He was on the board. Wonderful. You know, we have a very long history.
A few costumes.
Yeah, so, yeah, for sure. And so within your history as friends, how did it connect to your activism?
Oh,
How did it change it?
Richard, you want
to? Well, both of us have always been political. When Tomé moved to New York, he got more into it, meeting Keith Haring, being involved with actually Danny Garvin, who was one of the queer youth that was at Stonewall that night. So a lot of that history comes from the source.
Yeah.
It wasn't secondhand. It was lived through and passed on to another generation to understand what our struggles were. And we've always been fierce. I always get these sort of like 6 o'clock messenger posts that is very political. And I am very straightforward on my Facebook. I think we feed off each other's energy that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And again, I've been in contact, like Richard said, with such high level political people, you know, that are artistic, and they just instilled in me a sense of, you've got to say it because you have this privilege. You're in the room, just say what it is that needs to be said, or create the kind of work, you know, that needs to say something. But you also have a responsibility to not do the kind of work and just let like I am particularly supposed to be the result of the civil rights movement. You know, the epitome of Martin Luther King's dream. Judge me by the content of my character and not by the color of my skin. So that's how I look at it. I'm supposed to walk into the room and just say, okay, what you got? And, you know, and what do you want me to do? And not have it depend on that. So sometimes I can turn on my gay activism button and do a gay piece. And sometimes I can turn on my political, you know, black gay button, but then I can just be a person. And then they do triple takes when I show up and they go, you did that? A black man did that? A gay man did that? Well, of course I did. You know, and that's what it's about. You know, starting that, I love that tilt of the dog head thing. Huh? You know, I love that.
You both have been such an inspiration to me, and I'm sure to many other people. I wonder if there were any sort of words that you would like to give. You already have, but if there was anything specific that you would like to tell the youth, the LGBTQ youth, who probably right now I think are feeling a lot of feelings and may not have, you know, a place to go in this time of quarantine. They may not have their safe places because home may not be the best, you know, environment. Is there anything that you would give to, any advice that you would give to us youth?
Go ahead, Richard. Yeah.
My big thing is to understand history and delve into what the true history is. You have to do a lot of research because a lot of it has been, I want to call it whitewashed, but it was. But a lot of it is being edited by people that are not strong supporters of our cause. And I always tell the children to listen to elders that have lived something that you might be able to learn from. And I think it's very, very important to understand history in that way.
I couldn't agree more. Like the history, and get out there and tell your story. Your story is being made right now. You know, you are part of a new history. We can all see we're building something afresh now. So you're part of it. That's what I'd say to young right now. Know the past history, investigate it, but you're a part in it right now. And that's for a future generation. And I thought that when I was young, but it's really active right now. Yeah, storytelling. Your stories matter. You matter. That's it. You matter.
And our vote does matter too. and our vote does matter.
Oh,
Yeah.
It does. Well, thank you both for, I guess, making the flag in a sense. And so it's up for my generation to carry this thing forward. And I appreciate you both. And I hope you have a great day and a
Thank you.
wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Montez.
Right.
thank you, Montez.
Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you, Tomé.
Bye.
Call me.
Well, we are wrapping up for today, and we are gearing up for our final CT Live on Friday, June 26th. We'll be taking a break in July, but we'll be doing a special hour-long episode, and we want to hear from you as we strive to continue our connection to the community. We welcome questions that will add to the larger conversation of the future of theater and equity in the arts. So if you would like to be part of that conversation, please email your questions to me at mfreeland@citytheatercompany.org. We look forward to your questions, and we hope that you will join us next week, Friday, June 19th, where we will have a conversation with Jake Goodman from the Opportunity Fund, and we're going to have a Juneteenth celebration. So I hope that you join us, and I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for being friends and family of City Theater.